Well, Israel's military campaign in Gaza is coming under the spotlight in The Hague this week. Tomorrow, a case brought by South Africa accusing Israel of genocide in Gaza begins at the International Court of Justice. Meanwhile, the separate International Criminal Court continues to hear evidence over whether war crimes have been committed. The rules of war are set out by internationally recognised laws and agreements under the 1949 Geneva Convention. War crimes are grave breaches of these laws in the context of any armed conflict. That could include willful killing, torture, or inhuman treatment, deliberately attacking civilians or driving them out of their homes, and the taking of hostages. Rohit travelled to The Hague to speak to a British-Palestinian doctor who has been working in Gaza during the Israeli bombardment.
In the Dutch city of The Hague, there is hope in a hotel room from a doctor who saw and who lived an autumn of despair in Gaza, and is here for what he wants to be the winter that the bloodshed ends.
Maybe after all of these years, I can see that international law is going to bring justice to these victims.
We heard from Dr. Ghassan Abu Sita inside the hospitals of Gaza during his 43 days treating the wounded.
It was medieval, and we would be receiving hundreds of wounded. You just felt completely overwhelmed, and every day was worse than the day before. The difference between this and every other war that I've been to is the difference between a flood and a tsunami.
But he's here with more than just grim memories and anecdotes, but with a phone full of images and videos which help to tell the story. He shared them with Scotland Yard and now with ITV News. He was there when Al Ali Hospital was hit. A misfired rocket from a Palestinian group was blamed.
I looked into the courtyard where those families had been sitting earlier that day, and the cars were on fire, the ambulance was on fire. I just saw how many bodies were there. They were in the hundreds. And what was worse, close up, you could see that there were also bits of bodies. There was the forearm of a child.
But his view is that the Israeli military deliberately targeted Gaza's healthcare system and blocked the supply of medicine, part of a campaign of collective punishment. One allegation he makes, emphatically denied by Israel, is that this photograph of one of his patients indicates the illegal use of white phosphorus munitions, which put civilians at risk of serious and long-term injury.
And so what you see are circular kind of 50p coin-sized black holes, but when you cut them, you're cutting into the core of the body.
How did you come to the conclusion that it was white phosphorus?
It looked like a duck, it walked like a duck, and it talked like a duck, and I'd seen it before.
Is it possible that it was caused by, something else?
No.
Something other than white phosphorus?
No. It's very distinctive.
In Shifa, in addition to all of the human misery, there's now 120 children who are wounded and have no surviving family.
He says he eventually left Gaza because he no longer had the medicine to make any difference.
On one night at Al Ali Hospital, I did amputations on 6 children. One of them was a 3-year-old boy who I amputated his arm and his leg. And he was the sole survivor of his family. So he has no one left. Someone has to pay.